You forgot to bring your CDRPC magnifying glass? They were issued at the first meeting.
This is my quest to,
I have
Understand the
dog's haircut tomorrow.
whole
Yeah.
thing.
Andrew, I was just at a meeting with Sharon Martin. She said farewell.
Hi, Sharon,
Accessory.
the assessor, yeah.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yes.
All right. I don't know if I could pick her out of a lineup, but I know the name from my email.
She said she's been in a lot of meetings with you.
Oh, okay.
And she said,
Uh,
who's there from Troy now? And I said, you were.
Oh, okay.
No, they did stay,
thank you.
Mark.
Yeah, I will,
Oh,
Just stapled
I'll
down
put that
here.
on my list.
So I'm looking through the top.
I think I know.
Do you want to copy this?
I get her mixed up.
No,
with
thanks.
the other ones. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
we're getting close to starting.
Yep, we have a quorum, Mr. President. And we are live streaming.
Live streaming. Do we have anybody? Oh, Mike Miller. Can you hear us, Mike?
I can. Good morning. Thank you for sending out the Zoom link. I was going to watch on YouTube, but the Zoom is much better since I can actually communicate if necessary.
Yes,
So thank you, Mark.
sure.
Okay. So, are we ready to start?
We are.
So call to order the, Albany Pool CSO Pool Communities Corporation from May 9th. It's a little bit after 10 o'clock. And, from Albany, we have myself and Chris Powers, our treasurer. For host, we've got Gary Nathan. Rensselaer, we've got, Bill Smart. And we've got a guest here from Rensselaer County, Sewer District, Derek. Welcome, Derek. Troy, Andrew Golden is here, eating a donut. And,
Sure.
Water Fleet, we don't have, Green Island, Maggie's here. From CDRPC, we've got Mark and Tom White. And from the Albany Pool Joint Venture Team, we've got, Mike Miller. So welcome, everybody. Does anybody have any comments on the minutes from April 11th? And if there are no comments,
Make a motion to accept.
Maggie makes a motion second.
I'll second it.
Gary, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I
Opposed?
abstained. I wasn't here, so I'm
Oh.
upstairs.
Bill's abstaining because he wasn't here. Motion carries. Resolution passed. Financial report, Tom White.
Good morning, we're now at $12,000 in the bank. We're about almost 87.5% complete on the projects and 85% complete on the total budget for the year. Other than a couple of things we added last month, we're not much change in who owes who what. But we need to work on money flows.
Money flow, we need to just work on some back and forth of things, which is one of the reasons I have these spreadsheets today, so. Any questions on finance? If not, we can move to vendor invoices. Did we get all of them onto this, I'm not sure.
But so, the last Arcadis one came in.
I'm not sure that they're all showing on. We had an Arcadis bill for, Cohoes.
Right.
Let me bring up the SharePoint. I apologize. I think Amy printed them before that came in.
They were redone a handful of times and I think they're just the wrong one.
I think we've got some gesture maybe too.
All right, this should be the right one.
So yeah, Arcadis, for Cohoes, Little C. You've got Capital District Regional Planning Commission. You've got Castleman, which is the electrical contractor on Beaver Creek. North Point is one of our control systems vendors on Beaver Creek. Digesters are, just so we have for, our HVAC contractor. And Jet Industries was, doing the screens at the South Plant. And because we're now working on our IMG grant money, some of these are showing as no cost because they're being paid out
Okay.
of grant. So can I have a motion to pay these invoices?
I'll make a motion.
Gary makes a motion, second.
I'll second.
Maggie, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. EFC disbursements and reconciliations. I guess, these two spreadsheets that we have, kind of, are for the two different things. So I'm trying to keep track with these spreadsheets. All of the contracts of the, long-term control plan are listed here. And all of the financings are in the columns. So trying to keep track of of what's been paid on every contract. And, what we need to do now is kind of catch up with disbursements because we had a long time getting some of these projects to be dispersible for the EFC. And then after that, we have to make sure that we get payments between the communities, like if Troy gets money for Beaver Creek, make sure that money comes back from Troy to the bank account of this corporation, then from this
There,
corporation
that's
back to Albany. It's very circuitous kind of way that we are working this out. We've recently got money that should be going to Cohoes that we need to work out with Tom and Chris here to get the invoicing and so forth that would show how that works. And Troy's been getting some disbursements with working with the new
Yeah.
Troy controller, Dylan Spring.
Mhm.
So we'll do that. So actually just today, Troy got in the last disbursement request for Beaver Creek because it zeroes out the amount being financed by Troy. Paul Johnson should be able to do the same thing with Cohoes. There's a $60-some thousand left and one more disbursement. And that should be it. And then water police, we gotta work with Amanda to get that cleared up. And then the rest of the disbursements will just be through Albany. Won't have to do supplemental certs and cost summary stuff with the other communities going forward. So, so the two spreadsheets, one of them just kind of has the all of the projects and some summary costs at the bottom. Like you see at the bottom, available balance shows what's money is still left on these financings. And Troy really has an 01 financing that hasn't had any disbursements yet. And I've been talking to Paul Johnson about getting that going. And we're also planning on meeting with the new city engineer, Russ Reeves, on Monday
Yeah,
to go over things.
we get him up to speed on how all this works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other spreadsheet, kind of, it's just got the same stuff on it, only I've shown the totals for each community. So how much has been for Albany, how much is all communities, which are the things that are CDFPC and joint venture team, the host projects and Green Island and Troy. So anything that's shaded or just areas where we haven't had any disbursements yet, and we still need to see about that. In some cases, Albany's got disbursements against things, and it should be a no-brainer then for EFC to disperse if they've already had the paperwork and permission to disperse on those items. It's just that it's been confusing for EFC to keep track of what projects go against which financing. So it isn't just Albany's financing, it's the Beaver Creek, it's 4 different communities, and for other projects, it's 2 communities, because mostly it's just Albany and Troy that have done EFC financing for the long-term control plan. So I think we're kind of in a position to get some money back and forth. I know what Tom's been doing is more back, showing kind of a balance between communities, but we still needed to have all this documented with what payments were for which invoices and what still needs to be.
So those reports from Paul that you have sent me has been very helpful to make sure that this is the one that you need to pay to the host. And I think I sent you one email, I can send that again.
Yeah, no, I have that original email.
You have it,
Yeah,
okay, because that hasn't changed.
yeah.
Because that
Yeah.
matches that one, this person.
So I'm trying to collect in one giant binder all documentation that EFC keeps that shows for every disbursement, what vendor invoices got paid. You know, and sometimes there was an adjustment and sometimes they paid partially and we needed to catch up, and it's just a lot of transactions. But I'm trying to keep track of it all on this giant spreadsheet, so.
Okay.
And I'm sharing it with Paul Johnson so he can take a look and see if I've got anything. And also with Brenda Lee Burns, who's involved in the compliance things, because everybody needs to keep track of what's being paid out of which financing and so forth. So I think we're doing okay with EFC. Paul Johnson is really a very responsive person.
Oh, yeah, he's good. Well, I'm glad that he's working on it, because Paul does know what he's doing.
Yeah,
Just pray to God he doesn't get another position.
Yeah.
don't jinx it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's imperative that, you know, he keep working on this and we can get some money, because I'm facing resistance now on moving forward on some of the other consent order projects. You know, being a small community and being owed millions. And, you know, I realize that we owe Albany like $1 million, but, you know, you take a look at the sheet and we're owed a couple of million. So it's hurting to try to tell them that we gotta go, for example, with a new bond resolution for level C. And they're saying, well, wait a minute, we still haven't been paid on the rest of this. If we had the money, you know, maybe we wouldn't have to do a bond resolution. Yeah, you would, but you know, it's harder to defend when, you know, we're a couple $1 million short. So.
Yeah, so if we could settle up and you can pay off your bands and we could.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, it was different when interest rates were low. But with interest rates, our band expenses now are meaningful, considering that, you know, we're on a long-term basis, you know, we only pay 2.74%. So that's how I sell it to the Common Council, indicating that, yeah, well, we gotta borrow the entire amount. So I have cash flow to pay the contractor, or we'll just issue bands. But when bands were cheap, that was a no-brainer. But bands aren't cheap anymore.
Yeah, I know we're issuing bands for the whole project costs when your share on the LTCP was a small amount, but and we in Albany had to get a line of credit so we could go through this period, and now we're paying more on this line of credit, which we were hoping to pay off last year, but now we're still holding on to part of that. So short-term borrowing and interest rates are not something that even gets factored into these long-term financing, so it's just hurts our cash.
Yes, yes, and unfortunately with EFC, with their policy changes. It used to be that they would pay, when they got an invoice, they would get money out the door within 20 days, knowing you had 30 days to pay a contractor, and if there was a problem, then they would work on it before the next invoice came in to get it straightened out. And that's the way it worked for years. Unfortunately, that's not the way it works now.
Yeah, I had that experience in the past of being able to kind of really use it on a cost incurred basis.
Right.
Pay the contractors.
Which was terrific, one of the big selling points. But when you take that away, then you gotta find, because the contractor, by your contract, he gets paid within 30 days. Otherwise, he can file a claim.
So I did, in regard to the hoses things, I have been asking, if you look at the column, that's the Troy 0501. Well, Fleet Street and Goes Phase 2 costs are in there. So I have talked to Paul about getting a disbursement request on this whole one, so that
That would help,
we could get
some money.
this money back in, so. So that's the update for that. So, sorry, probably should have. So Derek Gardner's here because we've been requested to all sign on to a consent order modification for the consent order that really only has to do with Rensselaer County Sewer District. And one item that's on the compliance schedule, which was evaluation of secondary clarification improvements. So this one item on the, on our consent order, it had a task completion date back in 2020. But I guess since that study was done, there's been a proposals for actual implementation of the improvements. And DEC wants to modify the consent order for the implementation of these improvements, which I guess Derek can tell us what.
Yeah, so my understanding of it is that our deadline was December 2023. I've been in talks with Bonnie. We've been waiting on funding to complete the project with EFC for 3 years now. So we're looking to extend it out till December of next year, and the other part of that completion that's needed as part of our consent order is a wet weather operating plan, which we're another year after that, in order to get everything up and running and then put a wet weather operating plan together. So the final deadline, I think, is December 31st, 2026. Everything complete is what we requested from DEC. So currently, we just got our contract from EFC, so we're looking to go out to bid on the project hopefully next month. So that's it.
And my understanding is really this is something that Rensselaer County is funding entirely, that it doesn't involve the IMA that we have between the 6 communities, that it's Rensselaer County is doing this with their own EFC and grant funding.
Yes.
But we have to get all of our respective mayors and people to sign off on the consent order modification. We got a version of the consent order modification without some attachments for the changes, but I think maybe the main thing was just the date. So I don't know if we can really just ask for people to get this signed by their respective folks, or if we'll just wait and get the attachments and circulate to people by email, so that people aren't wondering what the Appendix A and Appendix B are supposed to be. So we already had the modification to extend the Beaver Creek project, and that was the first modification. This modification, I'm thinking, has the same schedule attached to it, but one extra date added for this Rensselaer County thing, but we didn't get the attachments.
Yeah, I'll reach out to the DEC to get the attachment. And then Martin will circulate the complete consent order modification document around for signature. But feel free, if you can get your chief elected to sign the paper you have in front of you, that could speed things up as well.
What's the deadline that this gets back by? Do we know?
I don't think that, we got a deadline from, Ryan Waldron about this or from Carol Connors, but
Okay,
we, I think, if we could get it before the next meeting or,
okay, all right, that works. Yeah,
I just want the signature page back, right?
You
correct.
could just do the signature page, yep, and then we'll assemble everything.
It's not the entire thing, it's only your pertinent page.
yeah, there's a page for each community. Each community has a page that has to be signed and notarized,
Okay,
including the county sewer districts.
yeah, because I'll be off for 2 weeks. That's, if I can get it signed before I take off, that would be great. If not, that was the reason for the question. I won't be back in time for Labor Day. I mean, not Labor Day, more. I wish it was like Memorial Day.
So,
Back to France,
Yes.
vive la France.
so if there's, I guess the main question from our respective signers will just be whether this has any cost implications, and then
The answer is no.
we'll say no. And-
Yeah, because I will get asked that particular question.
Why am I adding this?
Yes,
We've just heard, affirmatively from Rensselaer County that they're on the hook for the expenses, and we are recorded and broadcast on YouTube permanently.
So that's, well, thanks, Derek, for coming. You can stay for the rest of the meeting, or if you don't want to, you can, take one. At the project updates of Beaver Creek, we've been into startup mode with our $55 million project, satellite treatment facility. We've done this thing in 5 phases, and really, we're just coming down to the wire now. I think, we're at 98% spec, pretty much at this point, and, we're into the control systems and, equipment shakedown period now. We did have that blip with Castleman walking off for 3 weeks, but they've been back. We've been doing extra cleaning in the facility to make sure that Castleman is happy with that, and odor control works now, so we've got ventilation and in place, and we're just working towards getting things started up in June. And that's it on the other 2 projects that Albany still has to do in the long-term control plan. We haven't really gotten too much into. They're just eliminating 2 CSOs, which really just means stopping overflowing and putting bigger connections into the interceptor. So they're not all that complicated of projects, and they have completion dates in 2026 and 2027. I think Troy's one with an active project, Van Buren Street.
Yeah, it's been going pretty good. We have there's one issue with one section of sewer that's in really bad shape that they need to hook onto, so we might have to move a little bit further upstream to connect. They started bringing some structures in yesterday. So they're moving along. They found the 20-inch water main, the 16-inch water main. They have to go, make some modifications there, because we're gonna put that large stormwater pipe through there. So they're gonna lower some things, raise some things, move some things, all fun stuff. Yeah.
And did you get your change order for the bill EFC language stuff?
I don't think so, no. that's something I can look into.
Yeah, because that's important for the funding part. And so then Urine Street's active and goes Little C and Manor Avenue.
Yeah, Manor Avenue or so, we're still going through the planning stages that with CHA. And Little C, believe it or not, 10 days ago, we got comments on the engineering report that we had sent in, I guess, fall. So Arcadis, yeah, finally. Arcadis sent me a draft response this week. We had a conference call, went over the responses. So we're gonna be sending that back. It was a joint comment letter from both EFC and DEC. So at least things are improving. They're talking to one another while reviewing the report. It's just that I kind of wish that we had this, oh, I don't know, maybe January? They're supposed to have 2 months. But, you know,
7 to,
yeah, exactly.
We're supposed to have plans and specs by October.
October. So we're still going full steam ahead on, we gotta meet that consent order date. I mean, it wasn't anything drastic. They were questioning, you know, size of opening. How much redundancy we had, whether it was 100% or 200%, depending upon how you interpreted the text. I mean, if you got a minimum of 100%, what's the big deal? But regardless, it looks like we're gonna be getting back to them very shortly. And, we'll see what happens there.
And were you looking for grants and financing stuff on Little C?
Little C, yeah, well, we're trying to get a WIA grant, which is the June 14th deadline for applications. And we've gone through with Arcadis, they're also preparing the grant application for us. And we've gone through numerous things. We think we got almost everything, including actually finding the existing easements that we got. That I didn't think we were able to do, but we got them. The biggest thing is the bond resolution right now. Yeah, get that through the higher ups just so I can get it before the council. So, we'll see how that goes. But anyway, my intention is to submit it for funding.
And I think that's about it for projects then. Cross,
Just one thing, Bill, just to tie, Bill's schedule and then kind of what you're saying for what we owe you to somehow start freeing up some flow of money. If you go to page 2 of the big schedule here. It's gonna show under our financing disbursements, the 00 and I guess the 0103 for the Cohoes projects that we've been dispersed, 982,000 under the 00 and then 2.5 million under the 0103. So that technically means that that's $3.4 million that we owe Cohoes. That we'd rather already pay, we haven't paid any of this as far as
I think we needed to review some of the payments with Tom.
so we needed to, number one, vet that number and make sure that was correct. But
It's pretty darn close.
yeah, and number 2, also, you know, kind of make sure that everyone else is kind of on the same page for what, you know, that's what they owe as part of the whole communities. So that we're all kind of exchanging sort of at once, and one party isn't out and one party, yeah, so, okay, so I wanted to tie that into this actual schedule here. Because there has been a $2 to $3 million number thrown around that is owed to you guys. We have that number right here. We know that's been dispersed off of Paul's schedules.
To you.
To us, yeah, not all that physical money.
I don't know if I have the larger number. I know I have the smaller the recent one you just sent to me last month, I think it was, Bill. Probably disbursement number 9. If I recall, it had Cohoes money in it, it had some water relief money. And it had some CDRPC money.
Yeah, and the water bleed, I think that's one of the oldest projects that, I think we had paid, for some, that Route 32 stuff before we even had our financing.
And Troy,
But I think the part that we've gotten dispersed on recently was on Weston and Sampson costs.
the engineering costs.
And I think back at the time that, with that project, the project cost had gone over budget. And then Weston and Sampson was on top of it already being over budget. And we said, well, we'd pay it if it was gonna be dispersible. And it's just
Now
it's
dispersed.
taken all these years before it's moved through. So, yeah, we want to kind of get this squared between, but we needed to probably get from Utown what payments have been made. We've been able to see the Pioneer bank statements, but not, they don't tell you what the checks were.
Yeah, I'll get that to you.
Right, so by way of example, on this schedule, if you go to the first page for Albany, the totals for Albany under the, what we've received. Sorry, actually from what Troy has actually received under, for Albany, under the O2 is $13.4 million for your responsibility of mostly Beaver Creek. It's all, actually, it's all Beaver Creek. Yeah, just Beaver Creek. So the question is, Troy was dispersed that money. Did that money flow through the pool communities back to us?
Yes, and
Is the question that we're trying to verify on our end. We got the Pioneer bank statements, but unfortunately, all of these things were grouped into different checks. We couldn't break out what was what, so we couldn't find the 13.
I have that, and I've got a report going to Andrew at his request, showing all the invoices and what was paid, what was not.
Right, they have the same request. Okay.
And I collectively, Troy has paid into CSO about $18 million.
Okay.
Most of that is Beaver Creek, obviously.
Right.
I think it's not quite to that total because this includes some invoices that have not yet been paid.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so Paul Johnson at EFC has been getting our disbursements, which is our 58.68%.
Right.
But he's been lagging on catching Beaver Creek up with the other communities and, but now we're gonna be done with all that because of getting through all the financed amounts. So that should, Beaver Creek's gonna be the easiest one to account for. The other older things just get a little bit tougher to look at when there are things that could go back 9 or 10 years.
I think that to Gary's point, we were
The last
dispersed
5
on
years,
money.
everything's good.
Yeah, we were dispersed on money, but they were holding out specific items going back years ago that we've never reconciled. Then we have this old money that never made us whole.
Now, I know, and as an example, Troy has paid in a number of years ago. If you remember, Chris just said, send me invoices, I'll pay them.
Yeah.
And that, I don't know whether any of that was included at what time with ESC disbursements to Troy. If it ain't, if at all, I don't know. But that's the sort of thing that we're talking about. All the things that need to be reconciled.
So we just need to reconcile all the payments with all the invoices that were tied to, so we have something that overall could be audited more here. So that's, I guess the only other thing on the agenda here is in regard to check citing resolution, is that what we're?
Yeah, we'll need a motion to empower Chris Powers to be added to the signatory list on our Pioneer Commercial Bank account. So if someone would make that motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second. All All
And
in
the sig,
favor,
just in, the signatory is just for clarification, are myself, Bill, and now Chris.
as the treasurer.
Now, who seconded?
Maggie,
Maggie?
no, Bill.
Bill. All in favor?
I,
Opposed? Motion carries. And is there any other business? Then if not, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
I'll let Andrew, Barry, you want a second?
Sure, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay.